Hi there, I'm Nancy Nash with Starfish Strength, and I am passionate about in-season cooking. Today, I want to share a recipe with you for a stuffed acorn squash that is packed with fall flavors. So I'm going to start by preheating my oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. Next, I want to wash and dry each of the acorn squashes, and if there are stickers on them, make sure you remove those too. We're going to slice each of the squashes as evenly down the center as we can. Usually I find the stems just kind of fall off, and then we're going to scoop out all of the seeds and innards. I'm going to take a large baking sheet and line that with parchment paper, and then place my squash halves face down, trying to just evenly space them as much as I can. We're going to bake the squash for, I would say, 30 to 40 minutes. Really what you want is for them to be fork tender. And if they're, just a little bit underdone, that's okay too, because they're going to bake again with our filling in them. While the acorn squash are roasting, we're going to make our filling. So I'm going to need to cook my quinoa next. I'm going to measure out a cup of my quinoa, and I'm going to rinse it thoroughly. And I'm going to add 2 cups of water to my pan and turn that on high and make sure that it has a lid that fits. So I'm going to bring that to a boil, which I would say takes 5 to 7 minutes. And then I'm going to turn that down to low and let it simmer until you see that little spiraled end of the quinoa come out. So in about 15 minutes, my quinoa should be done. So I'm going to remove that from my burner, shut the burner off, and let it cool while I start gathering my other filling ingredients. So I'm going to be using a half cup of dried cranberries, and I'm using the lower sugar craisins because I think that they are excellent in this recipe and we're saving ourselves a little bit of sugar there. I'm going to just carefully chop those up a little bit finer just so that they, kind of evenly disperse throughout the filling. I'm going to add my pepitas. I'm also going to add a can of beans to this. So I'm using a 15.5 ounce can of Great Northern beans. You could also use cannellini beans and chickpeas. I've used both of those in this recipe and they come out great. Just give your beans a really good rinse before you add them. I'm going to add a half cup of chopped green onion or scallions. I'm going to add a quarter cup of freshly chopped parsley and save a little bit more for garnish at the end. I'm going to add a teaspoon of garlic powder. I'm going to add a teaspoon of ground sage, a teaspoon of thyme, and a teaspoon of freshly cracked black pepper. I'm going to add a tablespoon of freshly squeezed lemon juice. And then I'm also going to add 4 ounces of goat cheese. Now the goat cheese I'm using today had a light lemon flavor. You do not have to use lemon cheese for this. I usually do not. It's just what I found at the supermarket. Actually, if you're not a fan of goat cheese, feta is a great substitute for this as well. So once you've got all of your filling ingredients, go ahead and give everything a really good stir and just make sure that that cheese is evenly dispersed. You see that the craisins and the pepitas are evenly dispersed. So let's go ahead and check on our squash. All right, these look great. They're fork tender. And as I flip them over, you can see that they've got just a little bit of browning on the inside, which is perfect. So once I've flipped all of them over, I'm going to try to evenly disperse my filling among them. So once you feel satisfied that each of your squash halves is evenly filled, we're going to put these back in the oven and bake them uncovered for about 30 minutes. And really you're just, looking for the flavors to come together. You want the cheese to melt. So when you take them out, you want them to be just a little bit browned on top and everything should be heated through. So let's go ahead and give this a taste. So honestly, this has all the flavors that I love. I'm a huge fan of all the traditional Thanksgiving flavors, and this hits on all of those notes. So you've got a little crunchy quinoa on top, which is a really nice balance with the fluffy quinoa that's inside and the soft squash. You've got a little sweet hit from those dried cranberries. You've got that sage in the background. Sage, thyme are those flavors that I think we all kind of associate with Thanksgiving, and it just has like a really nice balance. And then the beans, they add texture to this. They're doing a great job taking on the flavors that we added to this. And then you've got that little extra crunch from the pepitas, and I really do love the taste of pumpkin seeds. And you know, you definitely don't get a hit of lemon here, but it is bringing just a little bit of needed acidity, I think, for balance. But you do get a little bit of a tang of that goat cheese. So again, if you're not a goat cheese fan, that is a great substitute, or you could just leave the cheese out and this will be excellent as a vegan dish. And I really like roasted acorn squash. It's something that my mom used to make growing up. We usually filled it with butter and brown sugar, which probably wasn't the healthiest way to eat it, but roasted acorn squash is just so good on its own, and this is really a great way to elevate it. I hope that you give this a try, and if you do, I would love to hear how you enjoy it. Thanks so much for making time to cook with me today. I hope you feel set up with a new healthy recipe to share with your family and friends. If you're looking for more healthy recipes, workouts, exercise tips, and other healthy living inspiration, please check out the rest of my YouTube channel. And if you need some one-on-one support putting together your exercise program and nutrition plan, please reach out to me in the link in the description. In the meantime, I look forward to continuing this journey with you, and I'll see you in the next video. So the part of this that's safe to share with pooches is the acorn squash. Luna loves it. Good girl. I don't think we've tried that yet. We've had sweet potato, but just our first acorn squash, I think. Max usually likes all squashes. Oh yes. Oh yes. Acorn squash is no exception. Good job, bud. Thanks, guys. Thanks for being quiet during this one. Good job.